Okay, it was expert judgment from breadth of experience, somebody who has worked in that industry for a lot many years. Analogous estimating, if you have the database, right? Even if you're a small company, startup company, but you have been working in that industry for the last 3 to 5 years, you have been implementing, let's say, 50 or hundreds of projects in that area, right? So at least you have some database. You know that exactly for similar kind of project how much cost you have incurred, right? Parametric estimating, right? This is where I thought I told you, right? Some of the project activity, some of the project tasks, I know exactly that, okay, if I build a road for each of the highway construction, for each of 1 kilometer of highway construction, it will cost around 8 to 10 crores of rupees, right? So this is where it is basically equation. So if somebody, Government of India or the National Highway Authority ask L&T to build 100 kilometer of new highway, 100 into 8 or 8.5, 850 crores will be the like average cost, right? So this is where you think of parametric costing, right? Similarly, if you think about all those construction, right? If some of you have given your houses for contractors to build, generally they'll charge based on square feet. Per square feet, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, depending upon obviously the location. So that is where the parametric estimating happens, right? For if you want to build a 2,000 square feet room, 2,000 square feet multiplied by 1,500 or 2,000, right? So that is where it will be a parametric estimate. Cost engineering, which is like much more preferable, much more accurate, but the problem is it will take a lot of time. If I have 100 of tasks or 200 of tasks, going to each stakeholder, finding out for each task how much it will cost, then adding them up, right? It is not a single day's work, it will take few weeks. And most of the time the finance manager or the project manager who are like together collaborating with creating this project cost document, right? Most of the times, one finance manager, if you're handling any project, for most of the organization, one finance manager will be allotted to carry out this kind of calculation, because sometimes taxes and sometimes additional cost comes into picture, which a finance manager will have better idea. And then 3 point estimating, like for your task, rather than doing this cost engineering, we take only one type of, like what is for each task, only one cost. But if I'm considering three type of cost, optimistic, pessimistic, and realistic, right? Then that will be 3 point estimating. But again, like I said, cost engineering itself is difficult. Finding amount of money it will take for each task, then adding them up, it takes a lot of time. If you do not have a proper database where you have all the cost, all the resource cost, and everything, right? 3 point estimating is again much more difficult than cost engineering, because for each task I'm asking the stakeholder to give me three estimates, then taking that formula of optimistic plus 4 times of most likely or realistic plus pessimistic divided by 6, right? And if you think this person in the last case, what we did, like I had given you, these three things have not been done, right? Vendor bid analysis, that person did not do. Cost of quality, right? So for your project, every time any project, you need to have a separate budget for quality control, quality monitoring, quality audit. Then reserve analysis, so that obviously some of you have written that risks, whenever risk happen, you anticipate those risks. As a project manager, one of your biggest task or role is to anticipate risk. There will be some known risks, there will be some unknown risks. Obviously unknown means you cannot anticipate events like COVID, but known risks, rainy season, rain will happen, so there will be stoppage of work for 2 to 3 months or 2.5 months, right? That, as a project manager, that should be a common sense which you can anticipate. Obviously earthquake, COVID, all these kind of event, these are kind of unknown risk. If it happens, you go to management, tell that this has happened, which was beyond, like as you call it as acts of god, right? It is not in the control of human, or we cannot anticipate it. So these are the things additionally apart from your estimation. These are the additional activities as a project manager you have to conduct to finalize your cost estimation. So analogous estimating, if you have kind of current project with past similar project, like if you have, let's say, okay, I have constructed this many apartment, it cost me overall for 400 apartment, it cost around 350 crores or 400 crores. So if I'm constructing a new apartment block of 500 houses, it will cost around 500 or 600 crores, right? Based on my previous similar project experience, I'm just giving a high level estimate. Parametric estimating we have discussed, where I know that per square feet how much the cost, then for this much square feet this will be the total cost. Or for 1 kilometer of highway construction, this is the cost, right? Then if somebody government is asking to build 100 kilometers or 200 kilometers with this many additional things, what will be the cost? 3 point estimating. Then bottom up estimating. Bottom up estimating is nothing but cost engineering. So the problem with bottom up estimating is it is the most accurate one, but the problem is it is much more time taking than other methods, and most of the times as a project manager you will not have that much time, right? You have to keep a balance between maybe analogous estimating based on the previous project, and to a certain extent bottom up estimating if you have the time, right? But completely carrying out bottom up estimating or cost engineering is very difficult. So the other name of bottom up estimating is cost engineering. Why engineering? Basically you are doing certain calculations, certain kind of logical steps you are taking, right? So you are basically managing the like kind of cost in such a way that it is minimized, right? Because that itself you have to do in the beginning. Think about in this way: if it is only a task where I can assign resources without overtime, right? Because when you are thinking about costing, you are also thinking about scheduling. You are also thinking about resources. Because once you know that okay, these are the tasks, these are the resources who are going to complete this task, then the third point is how much it will cost. So I can be very rigid, say that no, this has to be completed within 1 month. So whether it is overtime or whether they have to work on weekends, they have to work. Then what happens? I have to pay additional money, or I can do a little bit of engineering. I can do a little bit of logical step and can say that okay, some part let me outsource my regular workers. If I use them for my like kind of overtime or let's say weekend working, I'm going to pay them 1.5 times of their salary or 2 times of their salary, which is more costly to me. Rather than doing that, 20% of the work I'll outsource. 80% of the work these guys will do in the regular time, weekdays, 5 days a week, 9 hours or 8 hours. Let them complete the work within this 22 working or 23 working days in that month. Balance 20% I'll give to a outside party, right? So these engineering or these kind of logical arrangements you have to carry out to maximize your benefit and minimize your cost. Because as a project manager you have to always think that okay, if client is agreeing to pay 10 crore without compromising in quality, without compromising in time, am I able to complete this project within 8 crores or 7 crore? The more like kind of the like less the amount I spend to complete the project without compromise. Obviously, that is my first point. I should not compromise on my scope. I should not compromise on my quality. I should not compromise on the time. Without compromising in those three factors, if I'm able to reduce or complete the work within less cost, right? Then obviously I'll get the much more benefit. My company will get the much more benefit. So one option can be complete the task within 1 month, doing overtime, doing everything with your own resources. It will cost you around 8 crores. Other way of doing that, outsource some of the work with the permission from the client, which will cost you 1 crore. Balance work, let it be done by your workers. That will cost you around 6.5 crore. So 6.5 plus 1, 7.5 crores. Within that, you are able to complete the work, right? This is where your intelligence, your expertise will come. Obviously, again, sometimes you have to take help from finance managers because they also know that, okay. And this is where your estimation and budgeting. So you can, as a project manager, you can do a lot of estimation. But unless you take the help of finance manager, how to get that money? Think about big projects, what this L&T or Tata projects are doing. Thousands of crores. It is not that they have all the money in the bank. Some and government is not going to pay them advance. Okay, take this 1,000 crores of rupees and complete this project. It is always a stepwise. Complete this 10 percentage. Maybe they will be providing 10 percentage or 5 percentage as advance, but it is always in a stepwise payment. You complete 20 percentage of work, 200 crores you complete the work, go and show the documents, auditing will happen. Somebody from the government will come and check that yes, this much work has been done. They will certify that you will get 200 crores. But to go to that point to complete the 20% of work, which is worth 200 crores to the government. For you, you might have to spend at least 150 or 180 crores, right? Where you will get that money? It is not necessarily that it is in your bank. So there you need the help from the project finance team, right? So the finance team, finance members who are working with your team, so they will look into different opportunities where they will finance. So project finance will come into picture. So they will look into the opportunity where to get that money, what will the schedule of payment. Because if I am taking loan from the a bank, again I have to pay that to the bank. When should I take that loan from the bank? How much money from my cash reserve I should use? How much loan amount? What is the ratio of cash reserve and loan? Right. So those are the activities as a project manager you might not have that knowledge. Right. So they are your finance manager in your team is going to help you. So if you will know that okay, if this project is for next 24 months duration, each month, each quarter wise, what is my requirement of cash, what is the requirement of money, how am I going to get that, right? So that is where cost budgeting comes into picture. As a project manager, you just estimate, you put estimate, right? So I'll come back to cost escalation later, but cost budgeting is nothing but assigning cost to individual work item. So the difference between cost estimates and cost budgeting is that cost estimates show cost by category for each work package, each task, what is the total overall cost, whereas cost budget shows cost across time. And for that to happen, you need help from the finance team, project finance team, who will help you. Okay, for this January, February, March month, we need on an average 25 crores each month. But during April, May, June, on an average, we need 75 crores because that time the work will be in the peak. So April, May, June, on an average, every month we need 75 crores. Out of 75 crores, how we are going to get that money? Maybe we'll use 25 crores from our cash reserve, 50 crores will take a loan from the bank. Then the team, finance team, obviously it is not that they're searching for companies like L&T. They have a tie-up with different banks, different finance corporations, right? So where they're getting the much benefit, what kind of contract is there, accordingly they'll take a loan, right? So this is where your once you put your cost estimation, then you are putting in that okay, each month, each duration, each time frame wise, what is the requirement of cash, what is the requirement of budget? That is the cost budgeting. If I put my cost estimation in the schedule, in the calendar, that will become a cost budget, right? So cost budget is nothing but the time wise requirement of your money, time wise requirement of your cost, right? Breakup of cost in a time frame. Estimation will show that okay, or putting piling work, 20 crores of work, or putting fabrication work, 80 crores of work, right? Work package wise, it will show what is the cost. But budget will tell that each month, each quarter, what is the requirement of money, right? Any questions on difference between cost estimation and budgeting? Estimation, you are carrying out, then along with the finance team, project finance team, you will prepare the budget, right? So you should know that okay, when as a project manager you are going to get that money. Otherwise, if that happens, most of the time the for most of the companies, what happens? The end last 3 months of the financial year, January, February, March, because that time the finance CFO team will be looking into how to reduce the cost because they have to show overall yearly finance result to the board of directors. That time, if you go and tell that okay, I need this much amount of money, no, none of the CFO is going to approve that amount of money. So as a project manager, you should be intelligent enough to put all your cost from April to December. Do not put much cost in the January to March, because even if you put it, finance team will tell that no, you are not getting money in the January, February, March. Delay, let it the client get angry, but you will get your money in April or May in the next financial year. We cannot pay you right now. So that is where you have to work along with the finance team, right? Because they are the ones who will tell that okay, when you are going to get that money, right? So that is the difference between estimation and budgeting. As a project manager, you estimated okay, this will cost 100 crores, but when you are going to get that money, time wise, when you break that cost, right? So that will be cost budgeting. Clear? Any doubt? Then obviously cost escalation is there, right? So rarely it will happen that you have estimated something like for your schedule, right? So if everything was perfect, then there is no requirement of a human, like everything can be just put into a machine and everything will go as per the plan, right? Because there are uncertainty which your softwares, which your any kind of Excel files cannot manage, right? There you need a project manager, program manager. Human intuition will come into picture, right? There will be like 99% of the time there will be cost escalation, right? Because lot of uncertainties are there. Something which is in your control you did not anticipate. Sometimes obviously which is not in your control, right? Lockdown happened and all those situations which will give rise to additional cost. Changes in requirement and design, sometimes what happens, it is from the client side, right? So this is what we'll discuss during our project quality management. Remember what we have discussed in the beginning, right? Any changes which happen in the beginning of the project planning phase, right, it will cost you less, because it is, just think about a house construction, right? In the beginning, if somebody says, okay, rather than 3 bedrooms, put 4 bedrooms, and that itself, house construction has not started. So obviously, maybe changing the plan, going to the municipality office, taking another like approval might cost you a little bit. But imagine the scenario when you have already constructed, piling work has started, like initial like kind of work has started. Then somebody says, no, we should put another 2 pillars or 3 pillars, right? Then the problem happens. It will cost you more, right? So it won't never happen that there won't be any changes in scopes. Scope changes will happen, whichever method you follow. In waterfall model, we generally resist any changes. We say that, okay, whatever your requirement you give in the beginning, do not make any changes later on. Though we make that statement, some changes will happen from the client side. In the agile method, which most of the software development guys follow, they are obviously they are open for any changes, because the point is client also do not know what they require in the beginning, so the requirement keep changing. For any kind of application, for any kind of software, they follow that method. So in one approach we resist changes, in the other approach we accept changes. That is the only change in difference in philosophy. But changes is there, changes in scope, changes in requirement will be there. Only thing is that how you as a project manager you are going to handle it. One major point is that never continue like work on the changes without any proper approval, because in the beginning when somebody has given you certain scope, and most of the internal project, that you will find difficulty. If you're handling for a client, obviously you'll say that, okay, now you are asking me to do additional work, I'll charge you this much additional amount, this is the additional time. But internal project, when you're doing for your internal client, right, for some of your function or for some of your other location of your company, so there, what they'll tell, based on the personal relationship or based on that kind of official relationship, what they'll tell, okay, why don't you add, let's say you are creating a or building a infrastructure, IT infrastructure to manage certain kind of data sets. Okay, why don't you keep a backup server also? The IT team might come and say that, okay, sometimes we'll do a maintenance work. Why don't you keep a backup server to keep the data whenever maintenance work happens? But that requirement, if that has not come in the beginning, putting a backup server, putting additional work there, it will cost that team additional manpower, additional effort, additional money, right? And that is where the conflicts happen. Who is going to pay that money and how that is going to be managed, right? Economic and social factors. Sometimes inflation happens. Right now, the Russia-Ukraine war is happening. Oil prices are increasing, right? Oil prices increase means in India everything will increase, right? Only thing is that for election we are not facing that issue right now. Once election gets over, all those prices will come back to us. Inefficiency, poor communication, lack of control. As a project manager, 90% of your time will be on communication. If you are not able to communicate the changes, communicate the requirement to the stakeholders, and that is where you'll remember that we discussed whom to communicate and whom not to communicate. That also you have to know. Sometimes communicating everything to every each individual, then everybody is going to ask you a question, right? And that is something which gradually you learn once you start working. Ego involvement of the estimator, right? And that is the most difficult part. Once, like what they told, once I tell something, I'll not go back in my words, right? So don't be in that position that, okay, somebody has said that, okay, this will cost 5 crore and why right now it is costing 6.5. No, I'll not do this work and all those things. And sometimes it happens. Contractors will give some number, and if you go back and tell that why it has happened, they'll take that as your ego, right? And Most of the times this kind of situation will happen. They believe that what they have told or whatever estimate they have given is the final one, correct one, there is no change. But reality, due to the other regions what we just discussed, right, there will be always change in estimates. Your work is how to manage that within the budget which is available, right? Because if it is a small project of 5 lakhs 10 lakhs, yes, but that doesn't mean that always will keep changing, but it can be managed. Plus minus 10% can be managed. Like you can go and take that approval without much difficulty. But if it is 100 crores of project, plus minus 10% means 10 crores extra. No company is going to give you that approval. So the first question will be, why did you do that mistake, right? And that is where your project manager experience, work ethics will come into picture, right? Without troubling others, how you are able to manage work within the budget, right? So project cost center, this is one important item in the budgeting part. So remember that whenever, let's say, we are doing any work, whether it is an internal project or external project, right? So there is different cost centers will be involved, right? Let's say I'm talking about a CRM software, right? Or let's say some ERP software. Right? ERP, I'm using both material management module, sales and distribution module, finance module, right? So sales and distribution module will be paid by the component of implementing a sales and distribution module need to be paid by the sales and marketing team, the call center which is for the sales and marketing team. Similarly, the material management module, the cost of implementation, purchase and implementation of module should be incurred by the supply chain management team, procurement or supply chain management team. Similarly, let's say some finance module need to be implemented or need to be incurred by that cost need to be borne by the finance team, right? So this is where the cost center helps us, right? Whatever project you are conducting or whatever project you are carrying out, it is not necessary that that will be charged to a single account. Sometimes it will be charged to multiple account. In what ratio, in what person, that is something as a project manager you should have idea in the beginning. And that is interesting, and internal politics will work in that way, because everybody in the beginning, if you go and say that okay, ERP will be implemented, everybody will say that yes, Ajay, we are a very big company, we have not implemented ERP yet, this is the high time to implement ERP. Everybody will say yes. But once you say that okay, if I implement this module, I'm going to charge you this much, then they will start, why you should charge me, why the, because that is their account. As a director or as a executive director, they have a limited amount of money. If you ask them that okay, if I'm going to implement this module, I'm going to charge you, that money will come from your account, then the conflict will happen, right? And that is where in the beginning itself you have to make sure that every stakeholder for whom you are conducting that work or carrying out that project, you have talked to them and made sure in written that they are going to pay the money for that. Otherwise, towards the end, you have already spent the money, you have contacted the vendor, vendor has come to implement something, and the payment is not there. So they'll say that no, I did not agree for that, right? So that is somewhere the cost center concept comes into picture. Whenever I have a project, it is not necessary that that will be charged to a single account, right? Depending upon the work, depending upon the benefit, the teams who will get that benefit of that work, benefit of that project, that should be charged to multiple account, right? Who's which kind of call center you have, right? So depending upon my effort, right, say the effort what I put for a sales and distribution module, that will be charged to sales and distribution account. So different cost center will be there. Some part obviously will be there for the CEO or for the like this kind of project. Balance amount will be charged to that. Sometimes the portfolio leader or the program management office will have a budget. Some part of the project activity can be charged to that account, but not all of them, right? So this is what in the beginning itself you have to make it very clear that if this project costs 10 crores, where that money will come from. It is not only like kind of like uh, enough to like create a, just give me a moment, I have a call. Okay, sorry for that. Any questions, any doubt on project cost centers? Then budgeting we have discussed already. You start with activities, then for work package, what is the cost? Then control account, how much is being charged? Then overall project budget. So some, like I said, not always that you will have account. Some cost might come from the outside of your cost centers, which might be from the portfolio leader, program management office, or CEO's office, right? Who are sponsoring that project, right? Then contingency reserve. Once you have this project cost, so this is where your cost engineering or bottom up estimation is happening, right? You created a total project cost of $1,250, right? Then you add this contingency reserve. What is that contingency reserve? We'll discuss again in the project risk management, right? For each of our risk, we need to have a reserve, right? To manage that risk, like that I was discussing. If construction work is in the rainy months, rain happens, we need to have extra scaffolding, right? For that, how much additional money will be required, right? So that is the contingency reserve. Then this is my cost baseline, 1355. I added 1250 plus 105. 1355 is my overall cost baseline. On that, whenever I'm adding a management reserve, then what is the difference between contingency reserve, management reserve? Contingency reserve is for known risk. As a project manager, if I am able to anticipate 10 risks, and it is not necessarily in the beginning, as and when the project progresses, we are anticipating new risks, right? Then let's say when project has started, Russia-Ukraine war happened, right? Which was not in your control. But as a project manager, you know that summer month this will happen. You need to have extra AC cabin. Rainy month you need to have additional support work, right? That need to be taken care in the contingency reserve. But something which is beyond your control, right? Unknown risk. What I was talking some time before, right? That will be taken care in the management reserve. How these two things are different? Because when I'm taking an approval, I'm taking an approval along with my contingency reserve. Then management, it is not necessarily that project manager will give this data. Management themselves from the portfolio leader or the program management office, they will have some additional budget. Some of the times, not always. For each project, maybe 5% or 2% of the project worth, they will keep that as your management reserve. If as a project manager, I'm not able to complete within this, there are certain unknown risks which happen. I'll go to the management and take approval again. So this $68 is not in my hand, is not in the hand of project manager. Up to 1355, that is in the project manager's control. That person has got an approval to complete the project within $1355, right? Additionally, $68 which is shown here is in the management reserve, but I cannot use that. If I want to use that, I have to go to the management. The stakeholders who had approved the project in the beginning, I have to go there and take the approval again, right? So if I include that, total cost budget is 1423. So and again, this need to be put in a schedule, right? Each month, each week, or each quarter, what is the total requirement of money? That will be a proper cost budgeting, right? So we start with again the same graph. If I show it in a little different way, activity cost estimate for each activity, for each task, there might be a contingency reserve. I'm anticipating this work will take 10,000 rupees, right? But there might be a plus minus 500 or 1,000. So for each task, there might be a different range. Then once I decide on all the activities, right, I put a contingency reserve. That is where I say that okay, this might happen for the overall project. Rain might happen, this might happen. Some workers might leave, so I have to put some additional workers, right? Or I have to take contractual laborers, right? All those things will come under contingency reserve. So this much amount, including your work package cost estimates and contingency reserve, is being charged to control account, right? You are charging that to some like kind of cost centers, right? Then on that, management will have some reserve for each of the project. Not always, for some critical project where they know if it is a regular project they won't have, but if it is a new project, innovation project, engineering project, where they know that there will be certain changes, right? Management might have certain 5% of the cost or 10% of the project cost as management reserve. Then including that, it becomes your total project budget, right? If management reserve is not utilized, that doesn't mean that that money is free for you to use. That money will be there with management. They might use it for other projects, right? So this is where I was telling about that. Think about L&T, right? L&T's cost baseline is this line. We have not discussed what is BAC, and we'll discuss that in the earned value management. So how generally happens? Funding requirements means how you are getting that money, right? How you are getting that money to complete the work, right? So in the beginning, what happens? You like kind of get certain amount of, let's say, 10 crores or 20 crores of money. Then your work continues. Then after that, you get 10 crores. Then suddenly 20 crores, right? So if you see this dotted line, horizontal line, what it means? That in the beginning, let's say you get 20 crores approval to continue the project. Once you reach this point, like where this dotted line crosses this cost baseline, so that means you have reached one milestone. Then the government authority, whoever is authorized to audit, they'll come and check that, okay, how much work has been completed, and accordingly they'll say that, okay, now you will get another 20% or 10%, 10 crores or 20 crores. Then that money comes in your account. Then you still again continue your work, right? If money doesn't come, you have to stop your work. So this is your funding requirement stepwise when you are starting project from 0 to 100. Every 20% or 10%, you need amount of money to come to your account to continue the work, right? At the end, obviously, we need to keep it in our project budget. As a project manager, you have to think that the money which are incoming has been or being used properly, utilized properly, and then you are going to use it, right? Project cost management. So this I've given you a link. So I think when this Moon mission and Mars mission was launched, it was being compared with the movie budget in Hollywood, right? And that is a good YouTube video. Why, like from India, when we are launching this kind of spacecraft mission, what exactly we do different from the other our competitors like NASA and European Space Agency, right? What we do extra, at least for the ISRO and Indian context, right? So resource planning, then you estimate cost. Cost will be put into a schedule time frame that will become your cost budgeting. Once you know that, okay, each month this much money will income, like will come from the bank or come from the client, you are utilizing that, making sure that actually the cost whatever you are utilizing is proper, right? And that is where your cost control will come into picture. So most of the times, bigger companies, they have this kind of PRP or project management software where they have accounting system, right? Because imagine as a project manager, it will be very impossible to at the end of the day come and tally all the bills, tally everything that, okay, this person I paid 2 crores, I put a purchase order of 1 crore, cleared bills of 20 lakhs. It is not possible, right? Neither every day, nor week, nor every month, right? So you need a software system, right, where everything is being managed. Vendor payment happened, that will be put down into your project cost if it is part of your project. Only thing what you have to ensure that something which is not part of your project is not being charged to your account. Otherwise, what will happen? Sometimes those costs, those amount of money which is not should not be charged to your account, somebody has put in your account and your project has been charged, right? So that is the benefit of that project cost accounting system. Basically, imagine it as a software, right? Where you have work package wise cost information for each work, each activity, each task, how much it is going to cost, you have that information. Actual performance information, every day, every week, how much work has been completed, how much payment has been made, all that information. If some software engineers are working, right, so they are getting their salary monthly, so that is being charged to your account because they are working for your project, right? Then with your initial whatever estimate of the work package and whatever your monthly or weekly basis spending, right? You are comparing that, carrying out a variance analysis. Variance means the difference. Like I had a budget of this much in month 1 crore or 2 crore of rupees, and I have already spent 2.5 crore. So you have to go and give that clarification why you have spent already 50 lakhs more, right? then sometimes you have to revise the budget also. If you know that some unknown risk has happened, you are not able to manage. So you go to your top management with a revised budget, revised work plan, and take further approval. Right. Total project cost estimate, time phase budget for control account. Right. So this is what we discussed. So whenever you put that cost estimate in a time phased manner, that becomes a budget. Then that budget need to be charged to different cost centers, right? Not necessarily always, but most of the times, right? So the budget, project budget, so you have to be very careful about that. Who is going to pay you that money, right? Whether one stakeholder or multiple stakeholders. If there are multiple stakeholders, what is the ratio of their involvement? How much each of them are going to pay? That need to be clarified in the beginning before your project starts. Right? I think that's all for today. Any questions, any doubt before we close? That completes your project costing budgeting. And remember, scheduling and costing budgeting will be part of your quiz next week, next class. Any questions before we close? Okay. Okay. Chalo, take care.